What if I told you a single whisper at 30,000 feet was enough to upend one of Hollywood's most promising stars? That one offhand remark, caught in the wrong ear, sent shockwaves through studios, PR machines, and social media mobs alike. By the time Sydney Sweeney landed back in New York on April 15, 2025, she thought she'd just nailed the biggest weekend of her life. Instead, she walked into a silence so deafening it rivaled any red carpet roar. But that wasn't the whole story. At just 26, Sydney Sweeney had already conquered the art house circuit and teen drama alike, morphing from supporting player to Emmy-nominated powerhouse. First, she broke out in an indie darling, then she became the heart and soul of Euphoria, earning praise for raw vulnerability, and suddenly every A-list director wanted a piece of her. She parlayed that momentum into producing credits and a co-lead on a Netflix mystery thriller, proving she wasn't just another pretty face in heels. In Hollywood, they call that leverage, currency that can catapult a newcomer into the stratosphere. And at the moment she boarded that flight home, Sydney held more of that currency than almost anyone in her class. But Hollywood can be fickle, and power is often a paper tiger. What happened next would shock everyone. On that Paris to New York leg, Sydney settled in for what should have been a celebratory trip back to the States. 2 rows ahead, Ryan Reynolds, still basking in Deadpool's success, was casually unraveling his personal life in a phone call. His words weren't whispers. They weren't coded. He said it flat. I was the beard. It was a contract. In one breath, the picture-perfect Reynolds lively marriage myth crumbled. And although Sydney never spoke a word, she sat perfectly within earshot. In Tinseltown, proximity can be more dangerous than admission. Before you could say action, studio execs had imagined every worst-case scenario. Insider leaks, tabloid exposés, brand damage. Suddenly, Sydney's very presence was a liability, and what happened next would silence her industry faster than any scandal ever could. There were no press releases, no walking out of meetings headline, just a creeping freeze. Scripts she'd auditioned for vanished from schedules. Directors stopped returning her calls. Half her agents went dark. In Hollywood, they call it discretion risk, a polite euphemism for, we don't know what you might do if you still have that secret. No one shouted it, no one leaked it, but everyone understood. If you've overheard Reynolds confessing a contractual marriage, you could blow the lid off an entire PR empire. The slow-motion blackout began, and trust me, it's far more effective than open drama. When the New York premiere of Glass Chapel rolled around on April 19th, the spotlight should have split evenly between its 2 leads. Instead, only one name lit up the carpet. Sydney arrived in couture, her team on standby, cameras poised, only to be handed a guest wristband and silent instructions. No interviews, no flashes, slip in quietly. Ryan, meanwhile, posed center stage in Armani, every outlet snapping away. The studio called it a logistical adjustment, citing streamlined coverage, but fans smelled something rotten. Tweets exploded. Where's Sydney? Why is the female lead missing? The silence spoke volumes. And while the world watched Ryan bask in solo glory, Sydney's absence wrote its own headline. Then came the masterstroke, a flawlessly edited Instagram photo of Blake Lively at the same premiere, only she never showed up. Metadata later proved it was shot weeks earlier in LA, but by then, the image had gone viral. Headlines shifted. Blake supports Ryan. Hollywood's golden couple reunites. Lively returns to the spotlight. No mention of Sydney Sweeney. Body text, bylines, tags all scrubbed clean. Even seasoned journos didn't blink. In Hollywood PR, erasing someone quietly is safer than canceling the star. If no scandal is named, no one asks follow-up questions. And so the narrative pivoted. It wasn't a snub, they claimed. It was a personal choice for emotional clarity. Next up, the deal they hoped she'd quietly sign. On April 23rd, Zoom screens flickered to life. Present, Sydney's agent, a Netflix lawyer, a studio PR manager, and a rep from Blake's firm. No small talk. The proposal was clinical, a lump sum payout tied to her creative fee, plus an 18-month gag order. No interviews, no social posts, no mention of the flight or the premiere. Sign here and walk away clean. Otherwise, expect your name to vanish entirely from every promo. Silence stretched. Then Sydney asked, "Did Blake send this?" The rep gave a coy smile, neither confirming nor denying. Without protest, Sydney closed her laptop. 2 hours later, Netflix's marketing arm stripped her image from posters, deleted 3 Instagram posts, and canceled her interview spots. No drama, just total erasure. Social media was next. Within minutes of Sydney's digital disappearance, fans went into detective mode. Screenshots circulated, side-by-side comparisons flooded TikTok, and the hashtag number she didn't sign exploded to 2.2 million mentions. A viral Reddit post showed Sydney's name manually removed from press kits, and the world learned exactly how far studios would go to protect their narrative. By April 25th, an unannounced lunch pic of Sydney and Reese Witherspoon at Beverly Hills Polo Lounge surfaced. Reese, who'd endured her own PR battles, was rumored to be shepherding Sydney toward an Apple TV Plus project as a strategic reset. Casting trackers lit up. No official word, just whispers of momentum shifting away from the silence. Meanwhile, blizzard-white noise thundered inside Disney's strategy rooms. It wasn't just Sydney feeling the quake. Internal memos leaked that 2 investors quietly withdrew million-dollar backing from Ryan's next franchise. Marvel execs, who monitor public sentiment like CIA analysts, flagged him as a liability, less for infidelity rumors than for domestic instability. Ryan, usually a social media whirlwind, went radio silent for days. A leaked transcript from a studio call quoted him, "This wasn't my play." One pitch meeting rep replied, "Then maybe you should have kept your mouth shut at 30,000 feet. The gavel had fallen not only on Sydney's career, but also on the man who'd inadvertently sparked it all. And as Glass Chapel slid out of Netflix's top 10 by April 29th, the true cost of that airborne confession became clear. Then came the bombshell. A network known for unflinching exposés confirmed Sydney's first unrestricted interview, set to drop next week. No NDA, no PR filter. Every call log, every text, every contract clause ready for public scrutiny. They're billing it as Hollywood's most anticipated sit-down since the Sussexes shook Buckingham Palace. Producers promise she'll name names, detail exact timelines, and back every claim with documents. No rumor milling. Just raw testimony. In a teaser clip, Sydney's voice trembles with quiet resolve. "I stayed silent to protect myself." It only protected them. Audiences everywhere are marking calendars. But this is only the beginning. Sydney Sweeney's story isn't just a cautionary tale about accidental eavesdropping. It's a brutal exposé of how image contracts and brand marriages can weaponize careers, turning proximity into peril. It's proof that in Tinseltown, the greatest danger isn't scandal. It's the power of being erased. Now she's refused to vanish, rewriting every rule that tried to muzzle her. So, drop a comment if you're ready for uncut truth, because Sydney's coming for her story. And this time, the spotlight belongs to her.